Back to BSLIVE. Today we'll be doing 3D therapy using Blender sculpting tool. So let's get started. So basically this is the default scene. Let's start with sculpting presets. So with sculpting preset, we already inside the sculpting mode. So all we need to do is to use one of these tools, right? For our 3D therapy, we're gonna be using snake hook and enabling the dynamic topology, and just start pulling things, because we are using snake hook and dynamic topology, we are actually kind of creating a new topology and new mesh every time you pull the object. So it's feel free just to pull and push. If you want, you can always use shift and then click to smooth this part that you are pulling. So it's imagine you're like maybe a little bit like a fungi or like a snake. I like to think of this like a fungi. Sometimes you end up with something that's looking like a tongue, or like a like a petal of fungi, if they actually have petal. So the dynamic topology, of course, have detail size that you can increase or decrease. If you make this smaller, it's gonna be subdivided even more as you are pushing and pulling. If you get closer, you can actually create more details. But for now, yeah, if you go really far from the camera using middle scroll, you're gonna get less detail, but you can push and pull whatever you like. Okay, so this is the power of snake hook. So just my recommendation is to just work from every angle of the camera. I'm using a middle mouse button and just clicking and dragging so we can rotate around the camera. You can also use this over here, but I like to use middle mouse button. So you're gonna end up with, if you kind of brave enough to do like to pull the snake a little bit further, you can create like an arm. I'm gonna undo that because it's sometimes you pull too much, it's become really small. It's kind of like a smearing, but I like to keep everything kind of stick together. Let's say we are pretty happy with this. We can we can now mirror this. Okay, I like to mirror this in the x-axis and enable bisect, and then maybe flip, or maybe we don't need to bisect. We're just gonna keep everything and then do a quick remesh, and then right click, convert to mesh. So we have something we can further work on. Okay, so save as some kind of random creature. You can right click and set to smooth, set shade smooth. Okay, now everything's looking pretty smooth. The next thing we can do, go back to sculpt mode. We're gonna use a new tool. It's gonna be the face set. Okay, I have an old video talking about face sets. Basically, like with face sets, whenever you draw something, okay, let's also enable the symmetry. Let's say this is the ear part. We're kind of coloring the ear part, and whenever you place the brush, it's gonna create a new color. Okay, so that's the default behavior. If you hold Control, it's gonna take this color value and then continue coloring from that area. Okay, so I found this like a nice therapy, you know, like you're painting the area, you know, like it's like you're coloring it. You're defining the area. Okay, obviously we kind of accidentally painting over the other one, but it's okay. Let's say okay, so we are defining this area. Let's say if you just click and then draw, it's gonna create new color. So like I said, it's the default behavior. So we're gonna continue. So there is no rules with this 3D therapy. You just try to paint everything. If you want, you can actually just paint randomly. Yeah, I think the fin, I want to have the same color. Maybe this area, just gonna color it. Maybe this part, it looks like the bottom part, so we're just gonna give it a different color. I'm holding Control now, and yeah, I want to have the same color. Maybe, oh, this is different color. So we're gonna end up something with like a little bit abstract, like a patch, you know. I found this really cool feature of Blender. I wish we actually have it on Nomad Sculpt. Nomad Sculpt is a little bit different. You can paint like PBR material and you can actually change the topology. I mean, I'm talking about another app on the iPad Pro, but Blender Face Set is actually really quite powerful as it is. So see, I'm defining an area. Once you're happy, you can actually, with this tool, you can hold Shift and then just paint over everything. What's gonna happen is all the area that you define using Face Set will shift itself and then making this really cool hard edge. And if you really want it, you can actually draw something here, like I don't know, like a draw design, but in this case I will do a quick remesh, just adding more detail. And that's before getting with too much detail. I'm just painting some details. If you get closer with Blender, you can draw a smaller brush. Anyway, so the purpose of this face set is really, if you switch to cloth filter or mesh filter and then enabling the tools options face set, you can actually push and pull this guy. Like if you use mesh filter and then let's use inflate, see how you can kind of using the area of face set and giving like an area of topology, defining the area. I think this is much cooler than the normal masking. And I think I've shown you in the past. If we use cloth filter with inflate, we can have the same effect. Because this is closed, you can kind of expand. You can click and drag to the right, and you create like a kind of like this area, like a blister, you know. There is I go pretty far with that one. Like if we use another draw face set, if you draw like a bubbles, we can then switch back to cloth filter, and using that area we can create like a blister. So I'm pushing that area. You see, I found this to be quite fun. Remember, if you go back to face set, draw face set, you can kind of smooth that area. You can relax that area. So in just few seconds we end up with something. It's a little bit abstract, but it's like a sculpture. If you really want to, you can use the next thing, maybe grab tool, and we have symmetry already turned on, so we can maybe smooth some area if it's too strong. Just grab large radius and continue defining. Oh, I forgot. We have the face set selected, so whenever we grab things, we only selecting that face set, which is kind of interesting. But if we turn that off, we are moving the whole things. So see if you can create a better silhouette from different angle. If you want this to be something, you know, like what is this, creatures, some kind of mushroom, we don't know yet. Okay, let's turn the face set back. There's an interesting tool here, edit face set. Okay, edit face set actually can delete geometry, which is interesting in itself. If you want to delete geometry, you can just click on it, just to show you that. In this case, I don't really like deleting face set, so there's another tool that's a little bit better. Extract face set. Okay, extract face set is cool. I just assign it, I'm gonna assign it into quick favorite just by right click on it, and then just add it into quick favorites. So you can press Q and then extract face set. So if you click on the face set, it's gonna extract that area and create a new surface. Okay, so let's see if this is actually working. Right click, extract face set, and then click on something. Yeah, click on the model. So I just made this new surface. We can adjust the thickness. So extracting that area is, imagine you have like an object surface, 3D surface that's just like a skin. You can extract some areas from that, based on the face set. Okay, so it's sounds a little bit complicated. You go to face set anyway, just extract the face set and then select an area. and you can adjust the thickness. You can, yeah, normally it creates some kind of armor. If you are in this object mode, and if you enable random, you can see the extracted area is a new object. Okay, so it's pretty cool. Face sets, extract face set, there, expand. Oh yeah, I think if I add it as a quick action, it seems to be a little bit slower. It seems to be a little bit slower. Maybe it's a bug. Face set, extract face set, there. So some areas have like solidify, modifier apply, so it's becoming separate, and then you can actually continue working on that area. But if you want it to be like a single object again, you can, for the final touch, you can just merge all of them together. So if we go back to sculpt mode anyway, I think for the final touch, maybe just right click, convert to mesh, and then join all of them together, and then remesh. Use smaller value. You can use remesh here, or you can actually go to sculpt mode and use remesh while having the face sets turned on. This is probably a better method. If you're doing that, the face set area is actually preserved, which is, once again, it's pretty cool. And so let's get back to close mode, inflate, face set selected, topology turn on, just turn on everything. So you can play around with this cloth simulations. So you can push in, you can actually expand as well. That area is a little bit funky. So if you don't want everything to look bubbly, the next thing you want to do is probably multi-plane scrap. That's probably what you want. Yeah, if you can add details like that. But there's a cool tool that I like is flatten. You can flatten some areas. But maybe in this case, scrape maybe. Just define the areas a little bit more. Multi-plane scrape, I think it's better used without the auto masking. Anyhow, that's pretty much what I want to show you. So you're gonna end up with something that's pretty abstract looking. if you want to further work on this, maybe paint is the next thing you want to use, and simply start painting. Maybe at this stage you want to get rid of the face set. How to do that? Let's filter draw face set. Yeah, just remove everything and start painting. Painting will be using vertex color. So you can, yeah, by default the strength is set to 60%. Yeah, you can start painting. So this part is once again, it's can be pretty relaxing because you're coloring areas. It's a little bit like face set, but at this point you're done with sculpting and you're just doing painting. And if you're really happy with the result, you can do like a retopology and then bake this color into the new surface model, and you get a texture that you can export it out as AR or use it inside game engine. So it's a little bit more efficient. So the nice thing about Blender sculpting tool is the speed. Okay, it's pretty fast. I really wish that we can use Blender on the iPad, for example. It's gonna be pretty handy to do things like baking. Every now and then I like to use Nomad Sculpt because of the I think Nomad Sculpt has some feature that Blender doesn't have, like for example with the vertex color and dynamic sculpting inside Nomad Sculpt, you can actually preserve the vertex color. With Blender you cannot preserve the vertex color if you are using dynamic topology. So yeah. Okay, so let's say we are pretty happy with that. You can check the wireframe. You can do retopo, doesn't matter. For now, just look at it with a cavity and maybe with a shadow. Switch to cycles, maybe. Just assign it with material, and if you want to render it with the vertex color, you go to shader, material, and then Shift A, search for vertex color. Color attributes, just plug it in. Just put the color into roughness and then just play around with metalness. Again, increase subsurface scattering. Give it some sky textures. Too strong. Okay, maybe I'm just using different sky. Yep, anyhow. So that's pretty much the 3D therapy for today. So you learn a lot. I think my favorite tool is the face set And also we use the snake hook, but the face set is really powerful. You can just use face set to refine like topology of your mesh objects, and yeah, you start from there and really you can play around. You can create, for example, like a quick mask. So instead of creating creatures, you start with maybe your face scan, and then you just start defining a new area for your face and then start pushing and pulling it. That could be a nice exercise. All right, so thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.